let's begin to think about the essence level as a background field behind group life. You might remember the Hindu story of the little fish that didn't realize it was swimming in a field, that is, the sea. Or the way we sensed the field by watching the cherry blossoms and dirt spin around. Simply marvelous. Now, let's return once again to Arnie's ideas about fields when he began to look at groups. Remember this picture of a group with a bunch of people in it. In the previous Dreamland discussion, we focused mainly on the way fields become polarized and split up into different roles. Now, at the essence level, we begin to focus especially on the magnet and wavy lines, so to speak. That is, the power of the field itself, which is like a magnet that exerts force and creates a force field. A simple way to understand it is something like the buzz or atmosphere that is prior to the arising of various roles or polarities. The atmosphere is a shared field with power, force, and potential movement. And as we learned earlier, we don't see it, but feel its effects in our bodies and in our feelings. The ancient Taoists would call this invisible essence field the Tao that can't be said. They called this symbol the Tai-Chi. It includes the parts, but is greater than them. This essence field is also similar to the Japanese concept of Ma, which can be translated as the space between parts that gives shape to the whole. You can feel and see Ma depicted in this wonderful painting by Hasegawa Tohaku. It is the space in, around, and between the trees. And this space is not blank, but is actually full. When a group consciously touches upon their background Ma or field, there is often a momentary sense of unity or shared field. One way in which this occurs is when a group participant is able to get to the deepest and most subtle aspect of what they are trying to express. At that point, frequently, people sense a common ground, or unity, between all sides, at least for that moment in time. I remember now being very touched in one situation where this happened. At that time, Amy and Arnie were facilitating. It was in Japan, after the huge tsunami of 2011, and the resulting nuclear disaster. In one group process, some citizens protested against the government's handling of the situation, and its continued interest in nuclear energy. Those on the government side tried to defend their actions and the country's need to rely, in part, on nuclear power. All sides had their important points about the situation. As the tension escalated, a few people suddenly came forward and expressed deep sadness about the deaths of so many people from the tragedy. It was heart-wrenching to witness. And, in that moment, everyone came together. It was the sadness about death that they all shared, and that brought them together. And from that point on, they felt they were able to join together, to listen to each other, and discuss the future in a deep way. It was very moving. It's very emotional to talk about such situations, but for the sake of learning, let me say some more about the essence level.